Dear Dhamma friends, now it is time for our afternoon Dhamma discussion. As I briefly mentioned in the morning, one can join either by writing questions and put in the question box, or can raising the question to the audience. Now we have already written questions, it seems. So we'll start the session with the written questions, and then allow the audience to raise questions if time permits within the allocated time. So I would like to invite you to present written questions to the audience, please.
The first question is, what is the meaning of the 8 precepts and why do we follow it?
The precepts are usually the means for our restraint. It is 8 precepts consist the moral restraint. When we are doing collective work, we must have kind of agreements or abiding rules, otherwise very difficult to proceed. Not like an individual, so there are ethical problems, there are social issues. So we also all has to agree upon. That is called precepts. And in other religions, it is been named as commandments sometimes. But in Buddhism, according to the way the Buddha prescribed, he gave certain guidelines, and each and everyone to abide by them by their own volunteering. So therefore here it is not a commandment. One has to understand, if we are to live in this society, we have to abide by rules and regulations of the society. So the question may raise in this way, why we select 8 precepts as our residential retreat. Of course it is not a hard and fast rule. Even 5 precepts may be. Or Ajiva Attamaka Sila, it's another kind of 8 precepts that almost it is a little bit expansion of the 5 precepts. 8 precepts, when compared to the 5 precepts, it says we are completely away from any sexual activity, celibacy, and not entertaining singing, dancing, or beautification of the body, garlanding, perfuming. So that means keep the body as natural, and do away with taking staple foods after midday, after the noon. Or rather we are taking meals from the dawn to the noon. Other times we allocate for meditation, walking and sitting. These are the 3 things we add to the 5 precepts. So therefore, as far as the question is concerned, I think is fairly enough. If it is not clear enough, please ask furtherance or specific areas. I will try my best to share with you.
This is related to the 8 precepts. Is it best to avoid using cell phones and internet or computers? What about reading books after taking the 8 precepts?
So that is, as far as we are taking 8 precepts and using it for this residential retreat like that, we must try to cut off all the communications as such, and then try to see yourself under the guidance of here, now, I am. Whenever you are communicating with others, it becomes an ethical issue, social issues, so that mind may get complicated. In the meditation, specifically in sitting meditation, what we are going to do is, don't give any volitional command or demand or any conscious actions in the bodily and verbally. That means you keep the body and bodily activity and the verbal activities as passive as possible, and vigilantly and diligent you observe. So whenever you interact with cell phones or internet or other reading books, that means you are making this simple process complicated. And that may be a very drastic change from your day-to-day life, excommunicated life. Like, oh, you feel lonely rather than aloneness. So this is a kind of a treatment within our active life. We impose by our volunteer way how much we can entertain aloneness rather than loneliness. How much I can be my best friend. How can I be contented with here and now? So in that sense, best to avoid as much as possible that kind of ethical and social interactions. So therefore in the meditation centers, prescribed with the noble silence, it is categorically mentioned, no cell phones, no telephones, no internet, no reading, not talking, but try to be and to be yourself here and now.
Could you please provide us, beginners in meditation, any tips for both sitting and walking meditation?
Please repeat it.
Could you please provide us, beginners in meditation, any tips for both sitting and walking meditation?
So that means I hope each and everyone listen to the basic instructions, and even then it may be nice to have guided meditation or more instructions. Day before I listened to the same tape, and there I found, if I am to give a guide, a lively one or face-to-face one, that may be some kind of changes or some kind of improvements or some kind of lucidation. That is to say, in the CD, it is I am the very person prescribing. You just comfortably sit and try to focus the attention on your passive in-breath and out-breath, or rising and falling your abdomen. Sometimes, if it is not available, what are the touching points when you are sitting? So, same thing I would like to present under the present circumstances. Whenever you go for sitting meditation, avoid any kind of conscious activity. Avoid any kind of verbal and physical activity, conscious activity or volitional, willful activity, so that you have to make yourself, your body very comfortable, relaxed, symmetrical, and you want to feel the peace. And if you can maintain that relaxation, that symmetrical weight and freedom, that is the best of your meditation. Don't worry about anything. So therefore sit it in such a way you can maintain the posture as long as possible. Day by day, if it is increasing, a good sign. It's a good progress. And be aware, here, now, I am sitting. Or here, now I am. And see how much you are comfortable. How much you are at home. How much you are relaxed. And the moment you introduce into this here now I am situation, this relaxed situation and at home situation, it may not give the understanding about the advantage of being here and now. Soon you introduce it, but once you introduce and maintain for a few seconds, then only you can reflect upon, because you have certain amount of experience. So the moment you introduce, you can't. Therefore, introduction introducing your mind to the present moment is called bare attention, sati matrava, and then try to maintain it for few thought moments or few seconds, few minutes. You get your own experience as to whether this here now I am going to give more tension or less tension, more frustration or less frustration, more direct to the present moment or hallucination, or the wandering mind, or more direct experience or inferential experience. So when and where you develop this art, try to be yourself, try to friendly with yourself, then only you can understand the comparison with your day-to-day frustration, your day-to-day friction. And after long practice you will understand even the present moment is relaxed, even the present moment is kind of a aloneness, you simply hate it. That is your whole life is you are hating it. That's why you try to be past, future, other people and other places. Each and every time you are in frustration, you are in tension. Whenever you are in the past, it is not normal. When you are in the future planning, not normal. When you are thinking other places, being here, it is not normal. Thinking other people, but that is the way mind. Even though this is free of charge, and it's just mere accepting the here and now, maybe on top of that it is possible, but even then you can see how hateful the mind is, how much it is avoiding it. So you have to apply your common sense, you have to make ways and means to keep it. So the day you keep it for a longer period, then you can reflect back, if at all, and see, as far as mind is here, it is now, it's with me, no frustration. So that is another way of putting the sitting meditation in a practical way. As far as the walking meditation is concerned, you do one conscious thing, simple conscious action of moving up and down, pacing up and down, and try to see with the open eye, with one single movement, conscious movement, how much you can be with the present moment. That means when you are placing the left leg, you know you are placing the left leg. When you are placing the right leg, you know you are placing the right leg. Likewise, how many steps you can continue. So, when compared to the sitting meditation, this one is like a field trial. Sitting meditation is like a laboratory experimenting. And in the day-to-day activities, you are with volitional activities, but you are in a meditation retreat, and no much of socialization, no much of money-making business, no much of fame gain and other things are in your short objectives, and you see how composed, how much you can be here and now. So therefore sitting, walking and day-to-day activities is little by little becoming more challengeful. So for a beginner, we introduce sitting meditation as such and try to be diligent, try to be vigilant, try to be mindful, to keep the stream of consciousness here and now. But you can't sit longer, then you have to go alternative postures, like walking meditation is like an exercise, and meanwhile you try to be mindful, and we try to allocate 12 to 14 hours if possible, sitting and walking. Rest of the time, sleeping, meals, bathing and other personal activities, do it SMS, slowly, mindfully, silently, and try to keep mind as much as possible here and now. This is how you can compare sitting, walking and day-to-day activities. And while you are observing and practicing, we may take further as and when the difficulties arise. So as and when you gain your own experience, I hope it is enough to start as a starting point for today's question.
The next question is, I have previously been taught that behaving mindfully is not necessarily acting slowly, but at the most appropriate speed for the occasion. Please comment on this.
The behaving mindfully is kind of abnormal coining of words. Mindfulness is mindfulness. It is nothing to behave as such. Mindfulness is a free flow. So, the simple answer for this question is, consult your body knowledge. The body knows the best. Don't impose anything. Anything you add, it is just like dust to your eye. Just be mindful. Just be here and now. Here and now is not a commandment. Here now is not a abnormal instruction. It is bring the mind at home. So behaving mindful is not a proper way of putting words into. You try to be mindful. So mindfulness is part and parcel of our life, but we never know. We just while away our whole life for the past and the future, other people, other places. So we have sort of grandeur objectives, all are nonsense as far as here and now is concerned. So we are introducing yes, and we try our best yes, but everything is body knowledge. So therefore, this human body is a vast knowledge. We never consulted. We always consult consultants. For each and every job, each consultant is an idiot. So therefore consult yourself. For the first time maybe, you find everything is here. But you have to go without any premeditative ideas. You have to go into the present moment without preconceived ideas and just entertain, just enjoy it. And then you will understand the body knowledge, it is a vast knowledge and it's waiting. As far as there are no other opinions, no brainwashing, no conditioning, body knowledge comes. Whenever the brainwashing happens, artificial knowledge happens, instructions happen, body knowledge never come forward, it becomes suppressed. So much so, we are going by others' opinion. Of course, this giving instruction on mindfulness itself is others' opinion. But it's opinion, it's an instruction. Be unto yourself. Be here and now. And because if there is no, if someone is not instructing, mind naturally never goes to the here and now. But once gone there, you find it's a resourceful place. Some people call it is a cosmic library. Every knowledge is there. So therefore, understand the speed. At the beginning you may do it, but later it is happening. For example, in walking meditation, as far as you do walk, no walking meditation. One day you will understand it is effortlessly happening, and that is the place you can understand what is the meaning of walking meditation. And same thing, as far as you try to focus the attention on the breath, you will be doing artificial breathing, forced breathing. So much so you develop headaches, imbalance. But without that you can't proceed. So at the beginning you may do it, but later one day you will understand the natural breath. And that is the point where mindfulness becomes very normal, mindfulness becomes very smooth. So therefore at the beginning this question is valid. But after a while, if you know the way, if you are instructed to consult the body knowledge, you will be your own teacher soon.
The next question is, please explain the eightfold sorrowful stages of life.
eightfold sorrowful. There is no such a standard thing. If someone can give me a clue, the person who is asking the question, there are no such sorrowful 8 stages. Sorrowfulness is not eightfold, it is myriads in fold. I don't know what does it mean by.
It was me that told the question, and it was like a period, like a sutra that I came across, that I read about and talked about 8 different sorrowful things in life, and that was what the sutra was about, and I was just trying to understand.
Atta dustakshana.
Yes, I think that's fine.
Asta dustakshana means the way of wandering mind. There are eightfold wandering away, and a human realm is one place where the negative and positive sometimes balance. And but if you go to the animal realm, or ghosts, or hellish beings, and others, if you happen to reborn, if you are believing rebirth, happen to be reborn in such a realm, no chance you to be mindful, because mindfulness is not in their combination. So the hellish, ghosts, animals, and if you are blind, if you are deaf, and the disabled situation, still you cannot have, you have so much of inferiority complex, you can't. And there are, I doubt whether I have enumerated all the 8, and apaya beings, and disabled lives. And avoiding that only, we get such a healthy, not totally health, but physical and mentally fair, healthy human mind, and that is a blessing by itself. It will become blessing if you know mindful, otherwise you are still in the hell. Being a human being and have this potential, this is called a possibility or potential, and still if you are not mindful, you are still, the Buddha says, you are just a beast. Papanchabirato mago. If you are always thinking, proliferating and mentally complete, unmindful or wandering, if your whole mind is from morning to evening is wandering thoughts, the Buddha just recognize it as just like a beast. So when and where you be here and now, and try to be here and now, that's the way you become human. That is called bypassing or derouting all these difficult 8 places. Now you reach the Kshana Sampatti, that means the opportunity.
The last question. In Buddhism, is there such a thing as free will, or is it all predetermined?
Such a thing like?
In Buddhism, is there such a thing as free will?
Free will.
Or is it all predetermined?
The Buddha mentioned free determination is pubbhe kata hetuka vada. He rejected it, and he says, you don't have your governing power, no controlling power. And therefore, whenever you think that I have my free will 100%, that you also are very arrogant. So therefore, both of them are rejected. So instead, the Buddha mentioned 4 reasons: kammaja, chittaja, utuja, aharaja. Whenever phenomena to reveal or phenomena to manifest, you have your karmic forces, your momentum you bought from the last life, or your habits, or your tendencies, or your directed dispositions. Chittaja, your mindset, that means your upbringing, your likings and dislikes, your personalities, your will, or your determination. Uttudaya, depending on the climate. You see that the countries like this, it's a very cool climate, and temperament of the people are different. When you go from the equator or to the northern hemisphere. So, and within that also, the climatic changes are there. These four are influencing aharaja, type of food you take. So therefore these four are usually taken, and they, even though it is fourfold, within each category so much of nuances, so much of shadows are there. So pubbekata hetuka vada, that means determinism, not accepted, or complete free will, that is to be arrogant, telling I control myself, I have governing power. That is what you are going to disprove in the meditation. So you have to go in between, middle part. That's all. We have taken about 30 minutes, so we have 1 hour more.
Oh, hello. I'm a school teacher, and I just am interested to consider how I can encourage the act of mindfulness through my students.
School children.
Yes.
So I also thought of introducing it because I started a concept called mindful school, and whereby I am not interested in teaching Buddhism or Eightfold Path. I try my best to introduce mindfulness. That is to make the paper blank. Don't write anything. Or de-learn. Or deconditioning. So it is catching. So where I have a DVD, about 18 minutes. Whenever we have chance, we will look into it. And last time I had this trip, I came only up to Australia, and we had the discussion. Because I just initiated the 2 schools around our monastery, and then I just wanted to expand the process. And we had discussion in Perth and Melbourne, and then we put into 3 stages. First one is theoretically telling the meaning of mindfulness at the school level, that is at the classroom. Second, after when the principal and the class teachers and the children happy with this idea, of course this idea also we give with the volunteered school, not we are visiting them, unless otherwise they invite them. And then once they have finished the syllabus, I have already finished 4 weeks, and then we send a facilitator, mindfulness facilitator, and principal will prescribe once one class. So far we got class 8 and 9, and sometimes class 4, grade 4. And then we introduce walking meditation for 45 minutes. First demonstration, theoretically explaining how to walk, how to do mindful walking, and then do walking as a group or individual. Usually it happens as a group because the guided way it is more efficient. And then take it to the classroom and give a basic instructions or guided meditation for sitting meditation, and then ask them to sit maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And after that they have to write their feedback. And later we found that asking feedback is not ethical. We don't have rights. So we went to the minister, and education minister, he told, I can't give you outright permission. Instead run a pilot project. And then just before coming, we completed 17 schools, 160 teachers, and 300 odd number of children. And it's enormously positive. All the children, whatever they do only 15 minutes sitting, and their response, very crispy, very positive. And then minister was so impressed. Now we gave the permission to run the program for all the national schools. We have 140 national schools in Sri Lanka, and they are the most favorite one. And then later the provincial governments, some provincial ministers consulted us, and we are giving. And now the mindful school concept went to the mindful campus, mindful Montessori's, and ultimately it has gone to the level teaching mindfulness to the pregnant woman. And ask them to be mindful or take retreats when they are pregnant. It's a remarkable difference. The children before the meditation and after the meditation. And go up to the university level, and this is how we do. So beforehand I had my meditation career for 30 years. Out of that 12 years, back-to-back meditation retreat in our place, that was basically with the elderly people. And that is how we got the credibility. And when we are telling them, this is a trial run and my basic task is for the children. Now the parents develop kind of a relationship with me or credibility. Now they are happy. Otherwise very difficult to impose from the top-down authority. And it is heavily acted by or used by politicians. It will become a political agenda. So I am not happy. So what I did was, I did with the grassroots level. And the children, but very difficult to give it to the children because of this religious dogma. In Sri Lanka, being a Buddhist country, Buddhists are the worst lot in introducing mindfulness. You won't believe. Worst lot. They are not happy. Buddhism people never happy with mindfulness. They say it is something against. So I have to develop my own credibility. I have to develop my own language. I have to develop my own reputation. Then only, first I have to convince the elderly people, the mindfulness is the essence of Buddhism. It's a different two languages like. Same thing happened to me when an Australian monk first time taught me about mindfulness. I was fighting with him 3 years. How can you say Buddhism is mindfulness and mindfulness is Buddhism? And after that only he was very patient in that sense. I am very happy. I spent 10 years or 9 years as a layperson and try to be mindful without being a Buddhist. Can you understand? Try to be mindful without being a Buddhist. That is hiding myself, not to show anyone that I am try to be mindful. Very difficult. Very difficult. Even these all Sri Lankans, they never understand mindfulness. They wanted to have magics. They coming here for the retreat with so much of ideas. They never consider this as a de-learning process. They never learn this as a deconditioning process. They wanted to get conditioning. Black magics. Wish fulfillment. All the other nonsense. So I have to use a separate language, separate technique or separate tactics to do it. So once the point I am making is, once it is reached, the children are teaching their parents, they are teaching their own teachers, principals, everyone. So then I feel very happy. I had 5 days continuously in Melbourne. You won't believe. Daily 150 to 200 people, children comes from 5 to 7, 2 hours. And I give them a chance to do walking meditation, guided meditation and sitting, and some mindful games, some clips. And the way I don't know whether I bought it, I asked children to write their opinion. I gave some topics. What does it mean by mindfulness? What does it mean by here now I am? What does it mean by sound or silence? What does it mean by one thing at a time and that done well? What does it mean by the glad game? The way they present, you won't believe how sharp they are communicating. And then parents are coming telling, Bhante, please, 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 we'll continue like this. How can we continue it? And the facilitators are very nice, of course, back at Melbourne. And they were very nicely fostering children, like mothers. And they says, I told that you have done a very nice job. Please continue at least once a month. And now on 7th January, we are going to start a regular program of training teachers in the national schools, maybe 2 hours sessions, telling the meaning of mindfulness, walking meditation, sitting meditation and some glad games. So they have to teach in their schools. And so I have to run for next term, that means within 3 months, we have proposed so much of sessions, and 5 years we have to run, give it to the national level. And at the 10th year, my plan is to introduce mindfulness as a school subject. And there's a parallel program in America, exactly known as mindful schools, but they are doing through the IT technology, not the personal interact. Their plan is to introduce mindfulness into the school curriculum in 30 years' time. So mine is in 10 years, still I think it is foreseeable, because now the gathering momentum. And in Brisbane and in Melbourne, there are some, under the Australian constitution and the syllabus, they introduce Buddhist values and literature to the schools according to the parents' presentation. And I asked them to consider introducing mindfulness, but they are not so happy. They are very happy with introducing Buddhism literature, but the mindfulness, so I had to be very strategic and go there. So therefore, if you also giving a helping hand, definitely we will share. We have Dunedin, Melbourne, Brisbane, America, and the Gainesville, and UK, in Toronto. That is some Sri Lankan migrants, when they have Sunday schools and kind of thing, they try to give it to the school children, and that is a separate issue. And in Sri Lanka also we have Sunday schools, it's a very big network. There also I try to give it, and then there are some Pirivena. Pirivena means, how to call monasteries, training young monks, Buddhist monks. They are also sometimes happy. They are also not directly accepting mindfulness as such. They are happy about the Buddhism. So I try to not to get mixed them up. I present them as a secular method. So then we met the bishop in Colombo, telling that we do in the secular way because 75% of children are Buddhist, 25% non-Buddhist, so we wanted to give it. He says, not me, to the facilitators, not necessarily, you can still give the Buddhist principles and still we will support it. So they definitely support for the secular way. We have Muslims, we have Tamils, and all we are going to introduce mindfulness. So I have some material. Best is, I will show you towards the end of the retreat 2 video clips we have prepared introducing this to the national level. And then the second thing is, now we are introducing teachers training program, very recently organized. So you may all come with joining hands. Is that what, am I answering your question, or your question is some other direction? So it's, I don't know, the world is so, my universe is now mature enough to understand this panacea. For everything, mindfulness, but Buddhists are the worst lot. They do understand. They wanted to promote Buddhism. And
why do you think that is, why don't they understand? That
you have to understand, you are a Buddhist.
Well,
You don't understand.
Well, for me, I think you can't be a Buddhist unless you are mindful, because they go hand in hand,
That is the way you think.
And I think personally, for me, I see Buddhism as more of a philosophy anyway, because, as you said before, there are no commandments. Everything is voluntarily, and, and mindfulness is needed in order to I think, to really understand your mind, yourself, and then also what the Lord Buddha taught. And so for me, and when I explain it to my friends who are not Buddhists, I always explain it as a philosophy in any way, and I think mindfulness as a secular subject, I think it's a really good way to treat it and to make it more popular worldwide anyway. But I'm very curious though as to why,
No, your curiosity on what? What is the point you're addressing?
So why do the Buddhists in Sri Lanka don't accept mindfulness as being related, and Buddhism is actually...
So I will tell you my encounter. I was in the second year, my university, and there was a lake house fund building, and there was that Australian monk. He was a white monk. That's the attraction. Not the Buddhism, not the mindfulness. So I went to him, he rejected me. Now get out, you people are useless fellows. So then I was double attracted. So I went there and argued continuously. Then he says, do you know mindfulness? I told, I don't know. So how can you say you are a Buddhist? Then you are not a Buddhist, how can you teach me Buddhism? You are Australian. So it was a kind of a thing, his tactics. 3 days we had heated arguments. I am telling I am a Buddhist, I got a credit pass for the advanced level, ordinary level. So how can you teach me Buddhism? I know. So he told, you buggers are useless. Because you don't know at the crux of the teaching of the Buddha, mindfulness. Then I told, no, our Dhammajiva teacher never taught us. Class teacher never taught us. Our village monk never teaching us. Then so do away with them, don't come to me. So after 8 years practicing, hiding myself, and I just wanted to be true to type. Until that I am not concerned about the precepts, and I was a robust young man, just pleasure principle. But slowly, when it is happening, I found never I can communicate with my parents and my family members, friends that Rukman knows, he was with me in the university. No one knows. Because I know no one accepted. And then I went to the forest, I hiding myself. Not to come to the society, because society needs rituals. They want magic. They wanted to have this and that wish fulfillment. And that's what they are using. I am also was. I was. But now, when it is happening, I thought never to teach, never to go out, because useless. And when I go to Burma only, I learn little bit of tactics, because Burmese people are bringing the meditation to day-to-day practice. I mean day-to-day life rather than Sri Lanka. So when I come back, I started with the monastic people, and then only it is going. So therefore I am telling, the Buddhism is a block. To be mindful, to be non-judgmental, to be not premeditated. Just to have blank mind. And children is a sure target. But you have to tell directly, you are not younger, you are maybe younger than me, but mind-wise you are the same. I am just giving you an idea. You see, and they are very happy to do practice. And then once practice, let them talk. I am talking after 11 years with all crocs, all fellows. And when I'm working with the children, I can see the difference. I'm always sarcastic to the elderly people.
So, no, sir, these three are the youngest, I think, out of the lot. So my son is only just 9 and 9, so he's 9.5. He's 9.5, and these two are only 12 years old. They've got no idea as to what mindfulness is, and here now I am concept or anything. Would you be able to explain that? And
as far as you are asking, as the mother, it's a failure. They have to ask.
Yes.
Because that is the way you are imposing. They hate it. They hate it. We have to keep it open. Those who wish voluntarily will come. Whenever mother or father come forward, that will become such a distortion. I know you are coming out of compassion, but that's a foolish compassion. I am sorry. You are a practical woman, because that is why the children came here. But as far as you are directing, for me, I don't like, as a person. I mean, giving open, it's okay. But forcing and focusing, they will not be happy. That is why the present-day children are hating parents. Do you know that? Last time I went with Vaga to Dalai Lama, His Holiness Dalai Lama, he mentioned, it's a natural thing for the children to hate parents, and the more marvelous thing is, for the last years, the hatred shift from the father to mother. Now they are hating mother. Earlier they used to hate father. And it's a social survey technique, they found it. It's because of their out of love, they wanted to impose instead of presenting. So therefore, we have to find a technique. We have to go through, we have to seek the support of the parents and the teachers. But as far as they don't know how to facilitate this mindfulness, rather than they wanted to force, imposing, and that is a very sharp point. You have to facilitate it. That means not to disturb it, that's it. But don't try to direct it. Don't try to advert it. Because I consider children are much fresh, unconditioned than ourselves. And they can take their own judgment specifically on mindfulness. Or physics and chemistry and all the bullshit may be. Other foolish people has to come and direct it. And I hate that. As a school children also, I am not a good person at education. Because I don't like to pull all the formulas and everything into my mind, rather than something relevant to our life. But the mindfulness is not such a thing. It's a mere unconditioning, de-learning process and relaxing. So therefore, we have to direct children, but it is to be done just like you are handling flowers before offering to the Buddha. You are arranging in such a way, but accepting flower is a very delicate one. Likewise, you have to handle it. So, when I am presenting this book, there was 100 teachers and the education, the commissioner, Grand Commissioner, and the director. Then I told, don't change even a single letter, because you don't know. So I was like adamant and all the kind. I thought it meant too much. And so luckily, they accept it. They accept it. Just give a bare knowledge on the mindfulness. Don't go for the technical side.
Bhante, you mentioned as a parent, instead of imposing, to give your kids a flavor of mindfulness, as a parent, you should consider facilitating.
As?
Facilitating mindfulness to your...
Parents has to be mindful. Simply, they are not mindful. At home, they are setting a wrong example. So children are completely misled. I am telling, be mindful and mind your own business. They are not minding their own business, they want to teach others. I know it is compassion, that's the way my mother was working. And she accepted, she don't know. And she was not imposing, and that was a very lucky situation for me. And I was doing everything hiding, just like drug-addicted child. Everything hidden. No friction. So I try my best. The way I learn, I try to keep it open. Anyone who wish to volunteer, well and good. If anyone not coming, I know anything, because I understand it's a very, very difficult thing to give something neutral, give something that deconditioning. So I may be difficult to understand. Whenever someone is with an intention, I always try to see intention as an agenda. When someone is thinking of other one, I think it's a politician. Mind your own business. So I am always cornered in this sense. I try my best always to be up to myself. Unless otherwise an invitation, I never go there. Anywhere. That's the main reason I try to be a bachelor. Volunteer to be a bachelor. I am a registered bachelor. I'm not influencing other psychologies, and I don't like someone is coming and influencing me also. I mean, diplomatic level, no problem. Like in the mindfulness, it must be utmost, you keep it open. Facilitated means that. And if you like, you come and pick. You come and take. But never ask why. Why not or why? You see what the humanity. So we are all in the same. We are in the buffet diet. You serve yourself. Do you think that the mother's parents have rights to select their menu or plate? No. Children come and serve themselves.
Bhante, when you said about teaching mindfulness in a secular way, I was just interested, you know how sometimes mindfulness is taught in like companies, and people use that to make more money, or it can be taught to soldiers and they use it to harm other people. And so I thought sometimes a mindfulness without the other component of the Eightfold Path, like wisdom and the right action, I thought that can be harmful.
Yeah, it's an open issue. I don't know whether you have seen that the film they prepared in UK, USA. They use mindfulness as a technique for autistic children. And in UK, USA, each day 26 war veterans are committing suicide, more than in the battlefield. So it's a huge national problem. So Richard Davidson has taken some of them and teach mindfulness, and they have found 40% recovery after 10-day retreat. So it became like a very famous positive sign. Then Bhikkhu Bodhi made a comment. Now they are going to capitalize this, telling, you have nothing to worry, you can be a soldier. If the post-war trauma going to happen, we have medicine. Don't worry, we have mindfulness. So they are promoting warfares because they say mindfulness is the answer. So then only it came to me and all the world also. So therefore, even the mindfulness can be maybe used as a tool. And therefore, it must be always religious, or should it be secular? So I am taking the advantage. Sri Lanka is a religious country. So I am not going to impose that. Under such circumstances, I present mindfulness only as a secular. So each and every school, they have their own religious activities. I don't interfere with them. I am giving as a subject, please let them know, be here and now. And I am not telling it must be Buddhist principles or Catholic principles or Muslims. So when it's going there, we have to face it. We have this open question. So I am being a traditional Buddhist monk. Some of my friends vehemently against. Then that no problem. I have my own reputation. I am ready to risk it. Go ahead. And see, so when I am presenting children, some parts I am not dealing with. I am only talking with what is related to their education, discipline, and peace of mind. Like, don't go beyond, but things are open. Anyone can make proposal in time to come. So keep it open. I don't think we make vulnerable. Because all others has to observe it, be vigilant, and make use it. And lucky enough, as far as the mindful school is concerned, so far everything happened voluntarily, no money. No money involvement, everyone is volunteering. And there are some people sponsored for printing and kind of thing, they appear anonymous. So therefore, that means time is somewhat mature.
Bhante, can you please provide some advice on applying mindfulness to when you're feeling negative emotions, say, such as anger? How, using mindfulness to, I guess, to control what you may say or how you may react if you're feeling angry or sad, or those kind of negative emotions.
Yeah, the Buddha not directly handling the immaterial thing or mental thing or emotional thing directly. He says first and foremost you have to develop mindfulness with respect to matter. Matter means the breath, the sitting posture, or left leg and right leg. They are materialistic thing. And then he says materialistic thing, whatever confronted you, whatever appearing is, already arisen one you can see. You can't see the arising part of the materiality. So therefore he is telling focus attention, already arisen breath, already arisen left and right leg, already arisen sitting posture, the pressure points. And when you are observing, when and where you keep one object solitude, isolated and delimited breath. Later Buddha says, you see, you are observing the breath already arisen. What about the arising part? And there your mindfulness becomes so sharp, so aligned, so tuned. So there you can understand your mindfulness is somewhat very immature. It's a momentary mindfulness. It's a continuation, the momentum gathers. So always you have to be mindful, be prepared before the object happens. And that is the point, the tuning happens. And then after that, well, some people can catch it the point. That's what you call vipassana. Then Buddha says, then what about the disappearance of it? Understand? Middle, beginning, end. The phenomena, whatever may be, it has the beginning, the middle and the end. The Buddha says, you start with the middle. Never mind. The gross breath, the rushing, gushing air, it's okay. And see the beginning. And then naturally, the Buddha says, naturally it's an endowment. Once you see the early part of the end is exactly the mirror image of the beginning. And exactly he applied to the anger. You know anger once it's arisen. It's gone. You can't. So let the anger arise again and again for that. Don't hate anger. Make anger as an object of meditation. So after writing the 7 destructive emotions, the Goldman is writing about the anger. He says, hereafter I will never be angry with my anger. Then you can't study. And if you are not angry with your anger, then only then you can see the arising part of anger. Otherwise you are not welcoming it. Otherwise you are not ready to look at it. Then when you come across anger, you are already angry. Your mind is completely distorted, not in the learning position. It is not reflecting something. It's a turmoil. So imagine a person ready to study anger without being angry. Then he says, anger is also arising just like the breath. From the very subtle point, it is increasing. After level only, you recognize I am angry. So till that, it has under the not the tip of the iceberg, under the water iceberg. And when it arises, you see it is not you. It's a human mind. The rising part of anger, you can't attribute to myself. You can't attribute a single factor. It's a huge knowledge. Just like the love. Just like the ignorance. Just like the fear. Just like the compassion. And the moment you see the arising anger, you can easily nip it at the bud level. Even Buddha is not asking you to nip. He says, now you see the end of the anger, it goes without any medicine. It disappears. Because you learn the beginning, the middle and end, because you have already learned the materiality. So many people never, before going into the materiality, they want to directly do with this very venomous emotions. Very difficult. So they have to calm down and say, be religious. Be a beginner's mind. Just take the materiality as a subject or reference point, develop it in such a way, 1001 times, materiality. And then only same model you can put into the positive emotion and negative emotion. And when you come up to that level, you see, this anger, even so you recognize as mine, anger is not yours. You are just the subject of it. You can't control it. But if you can see the beginning, the middle and end, that's a naturally give the answer. So that time, when you come up to that level, you are not the person finding the answer. It is already written answer. You become a observer. So anything Buddha says, any venomous, any vehement, any agenda, if you can be an observer, just like a CID person. When the robbery is happening, if you can be aware, no more robbery can take place. And you need no any executive powers. You are just observer. You see how the CCTV cameras are helping? So in our monastery also we fix it. So people completely against telling, Bhante, it's a monastery. Why you are fixing CCTV camera? With so much of people going and coming. So I told, wait till fixed, then we can switch it off. No one knows. Cameras are there. And we put advertisement telling, be careful, short circuit cameras are working. So people behave themselves. Exactly, if you fix a mindfulness as a CCTV camera, imagine what will happen to you. Just like you are in a camera and you are going to see action replay slow motion. Then you see you are an innocent person. If you are not observant, you say, I violated other compassion and disturb and others. You are unwantedly brooding and suffering. Masters. We are masters. Once it happened, we think, no, it is my mistake. And ultimately, if you can see CCTV camera, slow motion, action replay, each and everyone is innocent. I mean, better than the world what we see. And the Buddha is just give a mirror, CCTV camera. That's a mindfulness. So then you can see materiality and mentality exactly happening in the same bell-shaped curve. We see only the middle of the tip of the iceberg. We are talking like experts. You know, tip is only the 10% of the iceberg. And what about the balance? Assuming. Projections. It's complete misleading. Wait. From the 10, just see the going subsurface, submarine, and see what is the rest of the iceberg. It has upward push. That's why always 10 is up there. So 10 is the what social behavior. But underneath, the upward push And when you see, it is the nature of water and ice, not you. And then you feel you have enough space, we have enough time, we have enough compassion, we have enough sympathy, we can tolerate others. So then, even some mistake happen to you, in our reaction, you can tolerate. That is, we can understand, because you know, only one person, 1 out of 10 may be purposeful. 9, it is natural. So you feel brotherhood, you feel the humanity. So for that, have more observation and less inference. More observations. Observe more and more before rushing to a decision. And that is one of the attribution or attributes of the mindfulness. Observe as much as possible before deciding. So that's a kind of a patience.
Could you explain how I would understand what mindfulness is?
Would you mind to share with me, when you are sitting comfortably, what do you feel? When you are sitting comfortably and close your eyes, what do you feel?
I feel calm.
How can you explain to someone? How can you prove? How can you verify to someone, when I close doing nothing, I feel calm? I am not challenging you. I am asking to prove it to someone, or communicate with someone, or verify to someone, what is the way. Or otherwise I will say that calmness is the mindfulness. Would you agree? You are here and now. Whatever you feel, even pain, even pleasure, it indicates you are present. You are here in the present moment. And it's calm. So therefore, mindfulness is easy to experience than explaining. So that is more practical than theoretical and inferential knowledge. So you have to sit. So when you are walking, okay, now you are sitting, how do you know you are not standing?
Because I am sitting on the ground.
How do you convince me? How do you explain me? I am sitting, I am not standing, I am not lying down, I am not walking. Because what? Because of what?
Because my body is on the ground.
Touching.
Yeah.
Your touching points are different in walking and sitting. One standing and lying down. Understand? So this is what you call mindfulness. You are mindful on the body. Each and every one is separate from others. Very, very delimited. And when and where you know, I am not, even I am walking, I am now on the left leg, not the right leg. Now I am on the right leg, not the left leg. And when the breathing, when the in-breath happens, you know verily, not with out-breath. That sharpness is because your mind is here and now. It is not running up and down, past and future, other people, other places. So unless otherwise you exercise, unless otherwise give it as an exercise, mind will never do it by itself. Agreed? What a mind. What a kind of mind. Never be mindful unless otherwise someone is telling, and once you comes to know, it's an answer for anything, because peace. And no tension can happen. So therefore each day you must take time and to be with yourself, be friendly with yourself, either sitting or walking, whatever may be, utterly 100% be aware of your posture. And that is we call mindfulness. So, or negative way we can say, mind is not the past, not in the future, not with other people and not in other places. That you call mindfulness. Or, literally it says vigilance. or very vigilant. And sometimes it's called, it's a Western terminology, choiceless awareness. You are utterly aware, whatever arising, without hating or without loving, choicelessly. When whatever the thing happen, you're ready to accept it without much of reaction. That's also another outcome of mindfulness. So now I am asking, what is mindfulness?
Mindfulness is where like I'm sitting down, and when you close your eyes, what do you feel? And it could be different to someone else. Like if I was sitting down and you were sitting down, and I closed my eyes, and if you closed your eyes, you might feel something else, and I might feel something else.
Yeah, this is the way you are putting into experiment. The mindfulness, literally it says, be here and now. And be vigilant. And non-reaction. You are not reacting anything. Unassuming, don't expect anything. So that means you unto yourself. So this is the way. So in the sitting, we do nothing and just let the body to calm down and don't talk. And close your eyes and see what is happening in your stream of consciousness. In walking, you give a command. You walk from here to there. While walking, how much steps you are here and now. How many steps you can walk mindfully. And if it is going for sound, well and good. Bring it back to the left and the right. If it's going to the visual objects, okay, bring it back. And see how many steps you can go there, and more you put into practice. One day you will understand more number of steps. You can be aware. Left leg, right leg, left leg. And for children, when we are teaching, we teach mindful brushing. Brushing your teeth. So daily when you are brushing, one thing at a time, and that done well. Don't talk, nothing other thing, how you brush. And see, experience, what is the experience of brushing teeth, washing a dish, or doing something. And then ultimately you find lot of dots in the day, while brushing, while this and done. And according to Venerable Dhammika, my teacher, he told, do only the things when you are doing by yourself, without socializing. Whatever you do, you can make a point or tag telling, I will rather be mindful. So in this book, on Fridays, week 1 Monday, it is English and Tamil, every languages are there. Friday, we give mindful games. Put mindful, how to do mindful. Can you read this? This is to introduce mindful games for kids. Yeah, that one essay, the other page and this one.
When we practicing mindfulness, after a while we find that the sensitivity of the mind increases. What I mean is that we become aware of even small, seemingly insignificant issues. These can be related to the body as well as the mind. This marks progress. But when even small matters become significant, the mind may get provoked for the slightest issue. These issues could relate to your own self or what others are responsible for. The mind may become disturbed and discursive. This situation applies to children as well as adults. What should we do if we feel that my mind is easily provoked and gets disturbed. First, we should know that the increased sensitivity of the mind is beneficial to us and that it's not an obstruction. The remedies for such a situation are called mindfulness games. Let us become familiar with some mindfulness games today. In the United States, teachers taught students how to become like a tortoise. Imagine a situation in class when the teacher is absent. If another student provokes you with angry words or unpleasant deeds, instead of reacting or retorting, try to turn your mind inwards, like how a tortoise would tuck its limbs when facing danger, disturbance. Try to turn your mind inwards and become mindful. If you react with angry words or deeds, you have lost the game. Instead, if you turn the mind inwards and become mindful and not react to whatever provocations, then you have won the game.
Understand? So if you have ever experienced that closed eyes and sitting, peace, if someone is disturbing you, rather than reacting, you just come back, collect yourself and be aware. And then he lost. You are the person gained because you are at peace. If you are not learned, if you are not given that instruction, you are going to react or going to complain to the teacher or to the parents. Ultimately, so much of repercussions. So easily then and there you can stop, you tuck in, just like a tortoise. And then appear like defeated. The other person come, you know you are not reacting, you tug in. But ultimately you win the game. No much of a repercussion, no much of echo going out, coming. So likewise, each week we are introducing one more mindful game. Now we have a bunch of games for children. And ultimately they teach their parents. But they are fighting each other. So if the mindful children available, they say, you don't know mindful games like, because when the mother is angry, father also get angry. So when the mindful child is there, they become like a shock absorber. So now you understand mindfulness? So this is the start. So daily we have to add more shades, more meanings, more way we can put into our life. Then after a long time only, you digest it. You absorb it. At the beginning you have to learn and practice a lot. And you are sympathizing yourself. Basically you are not grumbling with yourself. You sympathize, okay, never mind, well and good. You go to the next moment to be mindful. Okay. Thank you. So now almost time up. So we are going to have 1 hour of walking meditation, and at 3:30 we are gathering here for sitting meditation, group sitting. Before going into that, I would like to know at 5:30 we are going to have a Dhamma talk. Anyone is suggesting any sutta or any topic for talks?